3 years ago, a 24-year-old woman sat in a bathroom stall during her lunch break, crying. Not because someone hurt her, not because she lost something, but because she couldn't speak. That morning, her boss had asked her a simple question in English. "Sarah, can you explain this report to the client?" And she froze, completely froze. Her mind went blank. Her throat felt tight. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought everyone could hear it. She whispered, I cannot. Sorry." Her boss smiled politely and asked someone else. And Sarah sat there, invisible, again. That afternoon, hiding in that bathroom, she made a promise to herself. A promise that would change everything. Today, I'm going to tell you her story. Not a motivational speech, not grammar lessons, not vocabulary lists. A real story about a real woman who went from silent and terrified to confident and unstoppable in just 90 days. Not because she was talented, not because she had money,
Not because someone saved her, but because she made one decision, and she refused to break it. If you've ever felt invisible because of your English, if you've ever pretended to understand when you didn't, if you've ever avoided speaking because fear controlled you, this story will change how you see yourself. Because Sarah's story proves something powerful. Your English is not your problem. Your fear is. And fear can be defeated. Let's begin.
Hello, my name is Sarah. I'm 24 years old. I work in a small company as an assistant. Not a manager, not a leader, just an assistant. I come from a traditional family. My father wanted me to get married young. My mother wanted me to stay home. But I wanted something different. I wanted independence. I wanted a career. I wanted respect. And I knew that in today's world, English was the key. But I had a problem. A big problem. I was terrified of speaking English. Growing up, English was always there. In school, on TV, in movies, on the internet. I understood a lot. I could read. I could write okay emails. But speaking? Speaking was my nightmare. In school, when the teacher asked questions, I looked down. When group discussions happened, I stayed quiet. When presentations came, I felt sick. I told myself, it's okay. I'm just shy. I'll improve later. But later never came. After college, I got my first job. A small office, simple work. But even there, English was everywhere. Emails in English. Meetings in English. Clients speaking English. And I was always silent. My coworkers spoke confidently. They joked. They presented. They impressed the boss. And I just nodded, smiled, stayed quiet. Inside, I was screaming. I had ideas. I had opinions. I had things to say. But fear locked them inside me. Do you know what it feels like to be invisible? To sit in a meeting with 10 people and feel like you don't exist? To have a great idea but watch someone else say it because you're too scared? To avoid lunch with coworkers because you're afraid they'll speak English? That was my life. Every day I felt smaller, weaker, more worthless. And the worst part, people started treating me like I was stupid. Not because I was stupid, but because I was silent. Silence makes people think you have nothing to offer. And slowly, I started believing it too. Then came that day, the day in the bathroom.
My boss had asked me to explain a report, a simple report.
I had written it myself. I understood everything, but when he asked me to present it in English to the client, I panicked. I couldn't speak. I stuttered. I felt my face turn red. I felt everyone staring. And my boss, trying to be kind, said, "It's okay, Sarah. I'll ask Amit to do it." Amit presented my work, and the client praised him. "Great job, Amit. Nobody even remembered I wrote it." That afternoon, sitting in that bathroom, I didn't just cry. I made a decision that changed my entire life. I said to myself, I will not be silent anymore. I will not be invisible. I will not let fear control my life. And then I asked myself a question that started everything. What am I really afraid of? Was I afraid of making mistakes? Yes. Was I afraid of sounding stupid? Yes. Was I afraid people would judge me? Yes. But then I asked the deeper question. What happens if I stay silent for the rest of my life? And the answer was clear. I stay invisible. I stay powerless. I stay small. And suddenly, the fear of staying silent became bigger than the fear of speaking. That was the shift. That was the moment everything changed. Not because I became brave, but because I became tired. Tired of fear, tired of silence, tired of being invisible, so I made a plan. Not a perfect plan, not a complicated plan, just a simple, honest plan. For the next 90 days, I would do one thing every single day. I would practice speaking English out loud. Alone. No excuses. Not with people. Not in class. Not with a teacher. Just me, my voice, my fear, and my determination. Because I realized something powerful. If I couldn't speak alone, I would never speak with others. If I couldn't face myself, I would never face the world. So I started. Day 1. Alone in my room. Scared, embarrassed, but determined. And that was the real beginning. The first week was the hardest week of my life. Not because the practice was difficult, but because my own mind fought me. Every morning I stood in front of my mirror, and I tried to speak English. Just simple things. My name, my age, my job, my day. But my voice shook. My pronunciation felt ugly. My sentences felt broken. And my mind kept saying, "You sound stupid. Stop. This is embarrassing." But I didn't stop. I told myself, even if I sound terrible, I will speak. Because silence is worse than mistakes. Day 1, I spoke for 3 minutes. And I cried after because I felt so weak. Day 2, I spoke for 5 minutes. My voice was still shaking. Day 3, I forced myself to speak for 10 minutes. I repeated the same things over and over. My name is Sarah. I work in an office. I want to become confident. I am tired of being silent. It felt robotic. It felt fake. But it was happening. And that was progress. By day 5, something small but powerful happened. I said a full sentence without stopping, without stuttering, without translating in my head. I am doing this because I refuse to stay silent. It was just one sentence, but it felt like victory.
because for the first time I heard my voice say something strong. And I realized my voice wasn't the problem. My fear was. In week 2, I created a rule, a strict rule. Every day, I will speak for 15 minutes. No matter what. No excuses. Even if I'm tired. Even if I feel stupid. Even if I repeat the same things. I chose simple topics. Topics from my life. My morning routine. My work. My family. My fears. My dreams. I spoke like I was talking to a friend who understood me, a friend who didn't judge. At first, I paused a lot. I searched for words. I made grammar mistakes. But I kept going. Because the rule was not speak perfectly. The rule was speak continuously. And slowly, something started changing. My pauses became shorter. My sentences became longer. My confidence became a little stronger. Some days were terrible. Some days I felt like quitting.
Some days I thought, this is pointless. Nobody is even listening. But then I reminded myself, this is not for others. This is for me. I am building my voice. And my voice matters. By week 3, something unexpected happened. I started enjoying it. Not because it became easy, but because I started feeling different. I no longer felt like Sarah who can't speak English. I started feeling like Sarah who practices every day. That identity shift was powerful. I wasn't fluent. I wasn't perfect. But I was consistent. And consistency builds identity. I started saying things like, I speak English every day, instead of, I'm trying to learn English. That small change in language changed my mindset. Because when you say, I'm trying, you give yourself permission to fail. But when you say, I do this, you create commitment. At the end of month 1, I tested myself. I recorded my voice. I spoke for 20 minutes. About anything, everything. Then I listened back, and I was shocked. Not because I was perfect, but because I was understandable. My pronunciation wasn't beautiful. My grammar had mistakes, but my message was clear. I could express myself, and that was fluency. Not perfect English, but clear English. Month 1 taught me something I'll never forget. Fluency is not about perfection. Fluency is about expression. If people can understand what you mean, you are fluent. I wasn't fluent in grammar, but I was fluent in courage, and courage was the foundation. After 1 month of speaking alone, I felt different, stronger, but still scared of people. So in month 2, I made a new decision. I would start taking small risks, not big risks, not presenting in meetings, not speaking to my boss yet, just small, safe risks. I started ordering food in English. Even though the waiter spoke my language, I forced myself to use English. Can I have 1 coffee, please? With milk. Thank you. Simple, basic, but terrifying. My heart was pounding. My voice was shaking. But I did it. And the waiter understood. He didn't laugh. He didn't judge. He just brought my coffee. That small moment gave me power. Because I realized something. Most of my fear was in my head, not in reality. In week 6, something unexpected happened. A coworker invited me to a small team lunch. Just 5 people. Casual. Friendly. Normally I would say no, make an excuse, avoid it. But this time, I said yes. At lunch, they spoke English. They joked. They told stories. And I stayed mostly quiet, but not completely silent. When someone asked me a question, I answered. Short, simple, but I answered. Sarah, do you like working here? Yes, it's good. The people are nice. Not perfect, but honest. And they smiled. They didn't judge me. They didn't mock me. They just accepted me. That lunch changed something inside me. I realized people don't expect perfection. They just want connection. And connection happens when you try, not when you hide. In week 7, I did something bold. I started replying to work emails in English. Not just short replies, real replies. Before, I would write one line for,
Okay. Thank you. Yes. But now I forced myself to write full sentences, full thoughts. Thank you for sharing this. I reviewed the document and I have one question. Can we discuss this tomorrow? It felt uncomfortable. I checked my grammar 3 times. I worried people would notice mistakes, but I sent it anyway. And you know what happened? Nothing bad. People replied. They answered my questions. They treated me like a professional. Because I was acting like one, at the end of month 2, something unexpected happened at work. My boss was in a meeting. A client called. Urgent. Important. And my boss asked me, Sarah, can you answer this call and take notes? I'll join in 5 minutes. My heart stopped. A client call. In English. Alone. Every part of me wanted to say no. Wanted to run. Wanted to hide. But I remembered the bathroom. I remembered the promise. So I said yes. I answered the call. My hands were shaking. My voice was nervous.
Hello, this is Sarah from company name. How can I help you? The client explained his problem. I listened. I took notes. I asked one simple question. Can you repeat the deadline, please? 5 minutes later, my boss joined. I explained what the client said, in English, clearly. And my boss said something I'll never forget. Good job, Sarah. Thank you. That moment, I didn't just speak English. I proved something to myself. I am capable. Month 2 taught me something powerful. Fear doesn't disappear, but action makes fear smaller. Every time you act despite fear, you become stronger. By month 3, something inside me had changed. Not my English, my mindset. I stopped seeing English as my enemy. I started seeing it as my tool. A tool I was still learning to use, but a tool I owned. I started speaking more at work. Not perfectly, but more. In meetings when I had an idea, I raised my hand. Excuse me, can I share something? My voice still shook sometimes.
My grammar still had mistakes. But my ideas were good, and people listened. Because confidence is not about perfect English. Confidence is about believing your ideas matter. In week 10, my boss asked me to do something I never thought I could do. Present a project update. In English, to the team. Just 5 minutes. Just a summary. But for me, it felt like climbing a mountain. I had 2 choices. Say no and stay safe, or say yes and grow. I chose growth. I prepared. I wrote notes. I practiced alone in my room 10 times. The day came. I stood in front of my team. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. But I started speaking. Good morning, everyone.
Today I will share our project update. I spoke slowly. I paused sometimes. I forgot one word and used a simpler word instead. But I finished. 5 minutes. Complete. And when I finished, my boss said, "Thank you, Sarah. Clear and helpful." I didn't cry. I didn't celebrate loudly. But inside, I felt like I had won a war. Because I had.
A war against my own fear. Something beautiful happened in week 11. A new employee joined our team. A young woman. Quiet. Nervous. She reminded me of myself 3 months ago. One day she came to me privately. "Sarah, I'm scared to speak English in meetings. Everyone is so good. I feel stupid." I looked at her, and I remembered the bathroom, the tears, the fear. And I told her something I wish someone had told me. "You're not stupid. You're just scared. And fear is normal. But don't let it make you invisible." Then I shared my story. The 90 days, the mirror practice, the small risks, and I saw hope in her eyes. That moment, I realized something powerful. My struggle wasn't wasted. It gave me the power to help others. At the end of 3 months, something incredible happened. My boss called me into his office. I thought I did something wrong. My heart was nervous. But he said, "Sarah, you've changed. Your confidence has grown. Your communication is stronger."
I want to offer you a promotion, a coordinator role, more responsibility, better salary. Are you interested? I couldn't believe it. 3 months ago, I was hiding in a bathroom, crying. Now I was being promoted. Not because my English became perfect, but because my fear became small. I said, "Yes, thank you. I accept." And that night, I stood in front of my mirror, the same mirror where I started, and I said, "I'm proud of you, Sarah. You didn't quit. You became unstoppable." Let me tell you the truth about my journey. My English is still not perfect. I still make mistakes. I still have an accent. I still search for words sometimes. But I am no longer silent. I am no longer invisible. I am no longer controlled by fear. And that is everything. People ask me, "Sarah, what's the secret? How did you change so fast?" And I tell them the truth. There is no secret. There is only decision. The decision to stop hiding. The decision to face fear. The decision to speak even when your voice shakes. I didn't become fluent in 90 days, but I became free. Free from silence. Free from feeling small. And that freedom changed my life. Now I speak in meetings. I present to clients. I help new employees. I got promoted. Not because I'm special, but because I refuse to stay silent. If you're watching this and you feel like I felt, let me tell you something. Your English is not your prison. Your fear is. And you can defeat fear the same way I did. One day. One word. One sentence. One small risk at a time. You don't need talent. You don't need a teacher. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need courage. And courage is a choice. So I challenge you today. Stop waiting. Stop hiding. Stop letting fear control your voice. Start speaking. Start practicing. Start risking. Even if you're alone. Even if you make mistakes. Even if your voice shakes. Because 90 days from now, you won't recognize yourself. You won't be perfect.
But you will be powerful. You won't be fluent, but you will be free. And freedom is worth every uncomfortable moment. Your voice matters. Your ideas matter. You matter. Now stop being silent and start being unstoppable. Your transformation starts today.